Good evening, everyone. My name is Bob Steele, and on behalf of all of my fellow trustees of the Aspen Institute, it's really my pleasure to welcome you to our 22nd annual summer celebration. It really is a fantastic point on the calendar of the Aspen Institute, and one that all of us involved in the Institute are pleased to be here for, and for a couple of different reasons. One is to have such extraordinary activities and presentations, and I hope everyone here just spent an hour and 15 minutes with Walter Isaacson and Ken Burns, which was really first rate. Thank you, Ken and Walter. Also, too, let me just say a special thank you to Jessica and John Fullerton, who are serving as our dinner's chairs, and also to Carol and Ken Edelman, who are our dinner's honorary co-chairs. All four have taken a leading role in making sure that tonight is a success, and as you can see, it certainly is in terms of having all of you here. This is a bit like a report or a meeting in a way where I feel as though this coincides with our summer board meeting of the Aspen Institute. And the people here are really all of our friends and family of the Institute. And so let me take a second just to tell you that in the last 2 or 3 days, we've been having meetings, drilling in on the issues, and the state of your institute is in great shape. And so it's good to report that to you. What we tried to do in the last few days was to not spend too much time thinking about what we've accomplished, but instead charge Walter and his leadership team with thinking down the road. So what things we've done have worked, but even more excitingly, what things aren't we doing that we should do to make sure we take the mission of the Institute even further. And so I think we all left our meetings optimistic that we're in a good place. And I think one thing we talk about a lot at the Institute is leadership. And at the Aspen Institute, that really has been the active agent or active ingredient for all the things we've accomplished, is having great leadership. And that really is Walter Isaacson and his team, who in now for more than a decade has provided great wisdom, insight, and courage to tackle new and important issues. So I just want to highlight Walter and his team, who have done extraordinary things. But it really is too, and I think Walter, trustees, and management also would want to thank all of you in our Aspen Institute extended family for all of your support. Your trust and commitment to us and to being supportive, both with time, energy, and your treasure, is something that makes it as an enabling agent for us to accomplish all we wish to do. So thank you. But now let me take a second just to describe what we're going to do tonight. I think that the teaser of Ken and Walter is going to set up what we think will be an extraordinary night. We have Ken Burns, who's going to be speaking to us and doing some readings, and also musically, we're going to have our Aspen Institute trustee and leader of the Aspen Music Festival and School, Alan Fletcher, also the incomparable violinist Bobby McDuffie, and the wondrous Jocelyn Vorenberg. We'll also conclude the evening with a presentation of the Institute's Public Service Award. So we thank you again for being here. We hope that you have an enjoyable evening. And now let me introduce Ken Burns, who'll be reading from Elizabeth Cady Stanton's seminal address, Solitude of Self, accompanied by Jocelyn and Alan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening. First of all, thank you to John and to Jessica, to Ken and to Carol, to Walter for a wonderful conversation. Thank you very much. I can't imagine anyone doing that better than you did, Walter. Thank you. I made a film, as many of you saw in the list of the films, on Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony, and I had heard of Susan B. Anthony. I had never heard of Elizabeth Cady Stanton. I'm ashamed to say she is one of the most important and remarkable women in American history, and we got to know her and immersed over several years in her life, and she wrote an amazing speech toward the end of her life that I'd like to read a few excerpts of, but it's so great that we have Jocelyn and Alan to lift me up. No matter how much women prefer to lean to be protected and supported, nor how much men prefer to have them do so, they must make the voyage of life alone. And for safety in an emergency, they must know something of the laws of navigation. The talk of sheltering women from the fierce storms of life is sheerest mockery, for they beat on her from every point of the compass, just as they do on man, and with more fatal results, for he has been trained to protect himself, to resist, to conquer. Whatever the theories may be of women's dependence on man, in the supreme moments of her life, he cannot bear her burdens. In the tragedies and triumphs of human experience, each mortal stands alone. The strongest reason why we ask for women a voice in the government under which she lives, in the religion she is asked to believe, equality in social life where she is the chief factor, a place in the trades and professions where she may earn her bread, is because of her birthright to self-sovereignty, because as an individual she must rely on herself. In age, when the pleasures of youth are past, children grown up, married, and gone, the hurry and bustle of life in a measure over, when the hands are weary of active service, when the old armchair and the fireside are chosen resorts, then men and women alike must fall back on their own resources. There is a solitude which each and every one of us has always carried, more inaccessible than the ice-cold mountains, more profound than the midnight sea, the solitude of self, our inner being, which we call ourselves, no eye or touch of man or angel has ever pierced. That was Invocation by Amy Beach, a contemporary of Susan B. Anthony's, a woman composer in the 19th century.